Hello, 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 and welcome back to Chart, where we chat about art, uncomplicating one art topic at a time. And if it is your first time hearing us in your beautiful ears, welcome as well. We are glad to have you join our family. For this week, we will be granting the spotlight to artist duo Marina Abramović and Ulay, world-renowned performance artists, particularly in the 70s and 80s. We talk about one of their most famous works, which took place on a Chinese wall in 1988, and we even have a little debate going on about the embedded meaning behind their works. If an artist should reveal that meaning to the audience, and to what degree. But first, it is time for our good old question of the week. What has our favorite song been this past week? Follow us on Instagram at Chart Podcast to let us know whose song you like best, and stay up to date on when we post, which topics we are going to talk about, and our incredible art memes. Without further ado, let's jump into today's episode. Let's roll!
Welcome to Chart,
where we chat about art. Today we're having a spotlight on Abramović and Ulay. But first, we're going to answer the question of the week. What is the song of the week?
Yes.
Who would like to start? I'm going to start with the top left of my screen, which is Christy.
Okay. So my favorite song of the week is called Voodoo by ASL.
Oh, I like that artist.
Yeah, and then it's just like, it's so cheesy, but I love it. Who's next?
Javier.
Well, that's it. We're not going to talk about the song or anything. Well, my song of the week is I've been re-listening to Deep Purple as of late, because I was shocked to learn that their album, the one where it's their faces instead of the Rushmore monument, it's like in rocks or something. It's an album by Deep Purple, and I was shocked to realize that it's 50 years old now. So one of my favorite songs by Deep Purple is Child in Time. So yeah, that's the one I've been listening to mostly lately.
That's a good song.
Yep, it is really good.
We'll post the songs on our Instagram.
Yes, check out Instagram story right now. If I've woken up, it's up. Okay. I've had less time than anyone because I'm not in a lockdown. I just want to remind everyone that I have gone to Eastern Europe. But regardless, I do have a song I've listened to. It's by an artist called Clyro, and it's called Forever. Like every song I like, I think I came across in an advert, and that's why. And then I Shazammed it, and now it's my favorite song. And it's one of the rare occasions where it's not a trashy song that I like. That's it. I think we're going to hold a vote on Instagram.
Define a trashy song.
Trashy is, well, I don't want to be rude towards people who like
well, you're saying about yourself. I don't think you're being rude.
Britney or like pop names. To me, I just categorize that as trash, but I do like it, but I just put it all in the same box as it's just trashy, or like 80s Euro trash as well.
Wait. So we've been going on about Britney for so long. We love Britney. We put
and you're ashamed of her.
Yeah,
saying that she's trash.
How could you?
How could you, Mara? We've been supporting your love for Britney for so many episodes. We have an episode about her, and now she's.
Wait, I actually have a confession.
She hates Britney.
No, I do really like Britney, and I know loads of her songs, but I actually like Mariah Carey more. But I feel like Britney's more like, and actually many of my friends know that I like Mariah Carey more, so I think they were a bit surprised by the Britney thing. But it was just because like she's a bit more of a meme. She's a bit more like, people know more of her songs. People tend to like her. It just felt right. Are they both trashy in my mind? Yeah. I'm embarrassed to tell someone on a date that I listen to them. It takes at least a few until we get there. But it's like reality TV. Like, it's trashy, but I love reality TV. And I would give up a whole day just to watch reality TV.
May I now get the attention to me and say my favorite song of the week?
Yes.
Thank you. So there's this Belgian band. I gotta support local bands.
Wow.
I've stopped listening.
It's called Soldier by Amatorski, and they have a whole album made based on the letters that one of the band members' grandmother received from her lover who was at war was fighting in the Ardennes. And it's a really, really good album. It's a very experimental alternative album. But the song Soldier is really good.
I'm sorry. It's just when I hear the word Belgian or
It's Belgian or experimental. That's it.
That doesn't make sense to me. How it could be both Belgian and experimental.
Yeah. How can Belgians be edgy? I don't know.
Yeah. How can they?
Wow.
I was actually wanting to ask: is Belgium okay in terms of a prime minister?
Yeah, now we are.
Or whatever it is you guys have.
A lot of applause for Belgium. They feel
round of applause. It only took you how long to get one?
236 days or something. It's just yeah.
Do you think it might be because Belgium itself doesn't have that much going on, so not having someone rule it would not have been that, nothing really would happen?
No, it's because we have too much going on. Because I am not allowed as a Flemish citizen to vote on the French party. The French are not allowed to vote on, well, the Walloons are not allowed to vote on the Flemish parties, but they have to govern together, though. So,
you're just making your problems bigger than it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make it like you guys are so controversial,
And you have Brussels, which is their own little, their own little thing. So the Flemish side voted right, and then the French side voted left, and then they have to work together.
It's such a medieval system.
Yeah, I know.
Well, in a way, it kind of makes sense, but it kind of.
In what way?
It's silly though, if it's one is left, one is right, so eventually it will just stay
The middle.
in the middle, and then nothing will change.
Maybe
We
that's
have a good government now. I'm happy with them. They're doing a fine job with the whole
Okay.
crisis.
As long as you are happy, we are happy.
Finn is so happy. Okay, in quotation marks.
Why quotation?
How come?
Mara, what happened today? You're
How
So
come?
bitchy.
destroying everything. We thought you loved.
I'm asking the questions the viewers are gonna have. How come, Finn, you're trying to apply for settlership or whatever it's called in the UK?
Settler ship.
You're happy over that.
I'm sailing over with a boat to settle.
With Belgian pilgrims.
Well, because I like London. Is that a crime to like London? And the fact that there are so many.
Fine, but if you're so happy at home.
I don't miss London at the moment because there's nothing there.
It's me. I have been London.
Yeah. And I miss my podcast friends, but they're all
Not in London.
Mara went to Eastern Europe.
I mean, it's so corrupt here that we do need a lockdown because the cases are very high. But because of the president, he has elections coming up, and I think he's hoping to win.
Oh,
So
classic.
he's just decided not to. That's why I like it here. It's more about doing the best with what you have rather than looking at the facts.
We're going to edit that out. We don't have enough followers to afford this kind of commentary.
The president, what is it? The president of Romania, or do you have?
It's an independent country, so we have a president.
Okay.
We no longer have a dictator. We've moved on.
When I think anything east of Germany, I still think of Lenin. So.
No, Lenin's not here anymore.
Oh.
And his regime's not here anymore. The regime stopped 30 years ago. We're still trying to figure out a democratic vibe. It's taking a while, but thank you so much for everyone's support.
We got you, yeah. We may lose our Belgian ones because
we just shit on it all the time.
Destroyed it, yeah.
Because I thought at the Biennale that you thought Belgian Pavilion was great.
Yeah, I liked it
I don't know
because
what
it was a true reflection of Belgium. So I did like the honesty in that. I love the honesty. For me, it stems because when I was at a French school, it was just cool to hate the Belgian kids.
Oh, that's why it comes
That
from.
was why we started to hate on them, because just the accent.
Well, they're wrong. Anyway.
Sorry, that's where it stems from. But Finn,
And
have you changed my mind?
I like. I'm gonna join the Trashing Cultures Club, and I'm gonna say it's very funny that French people are hating on someone because of their accent. And but yeah, so we're gonna come off as racist in this episode. Everyone's gonna unsubscribe and cancel us.
Yeah.
So we should maybe start talking about Abramović and Ulay before it's too late.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Can I say one thing about Abramović?
Yes.
Last time we spoke about how we said you know she did that thing where she stares at people
Yes.
in MoMA. And I said to my mum, like, because we were watching a program about her on BBC, and they referenced it, and I was like, I feel like I've been there, like not to MoMA because I have been to MoMA, but to see her. And she was like, no, yeah, we have seen it. We saw her when we went to MoMA. So I saw it. I thought it was like a dream, but it was real. I'm international. I forgot about that, but I did remember going to the Abercrombie shop because I was like 12. So that was like the peak for me.
Did it smell amazing?
Makes sense.
Amazing.
Smells of fit bodies.
Yeah.
Was she just there, or was she doing a performance?
She was there, sat down, doing the chair thing.
Ah, the chair thing.
I don't want to.
You could have sat in front of Abramović, and you were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, where's the Abercrombie shop?"
And you know what? I actually remember going to an Andy Warhol exhibition, or either just seeing the permanent exhibition there with his staff, and thinking, "This is art. This is art history." Marina Abramović, because she had an exhibition there at the same time, and I remember we had to walk past the two naked people, like a woman and a man.
Yeah, but something very important happened.
Yeah, but I didn't want to release that information because I didn't know when we're releasing that information during the episode.
Well, if you're telling you were there,
Yeah.
seems like a good time.
To release the information.
What happened? Well, not when I was there, probably on a different day. She was basically sat on a chair, and in the documentary, what she said, I didn't drink water and I didn't eat. But then my dad was like, that's not true because she had a bottle of water underneath her chair. He like remembers absolutely everything. So she's a liar. But anyway.
She's gonna sue us now. Great.
She just got sued by Ulay, now she's gonna sue us.
She got sued by Ulay.
Yeah.
But he's dead. Oh.
No, like 5 years ago when she did the sitting thing, and then he sued her for doing that work without his permission, essentially.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're really bitter about each other.
But they had that emotional reconnection when he sat in front of her.
Yeah, but at the same time, no, they're.
I told you that was a publicity stunt, and it was fucking rude for him to turn up when she's doing her thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. To be fair, that's a shitty thing to do. So first, you sleep with your Chinese translator, and then you're mad because she does this.
Yeah.
No, sir.
We have to explain all this because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. We're getting way ahead of ourselves.
Let's start back at the beginning. Where it all went wrong, because I feel like what you said about the translator, that's partly true, but apparently it was going on for like a long time. So they tried to do the walking over the Chinese wall piece, which is called The Lovers, that they did in 1988. But they've been trying to start that work for 5 years. So they started in 1983, getting visa, getting permissions, whatever. They finally were granted to do it because they gave permission to work on a film about their study of the Chinese wall for Chinese television. But in those 5 years, Abramović and Ulay really became famous. Abramović liked that because she didn't want to be the starving artist anymore. But Ulay didn't. He really didn't want to know anything about fame. So they grew apart. And that's also why he cheated on her at the translator. So they already knew they wouldn't get married on the wall. They would get divorced on the wall.
That is consistent with what I read before. I don't know if you guys remember, but I interrupted our professor's lecture when he was talking about this.
I remember that one.
Yeah, our professor was talking about this, and he was like, so the idea was to get together at the middle of the Chinese wall and get married. And I was like, but sir, I read they got separated. And he was like, don't spill the beans. So But it's true. The first time I read it, I read it as they were going to get separated when they met in the wall, not married.
Okay, they're just walking the whole length of the wall of China from both ends.
Not the whole length.
Oh, really?
No.
Would it be really-
That would take like 75 years. They walked like this,
Okay, well, she's again a liar, because in this documentary she's like, we walked the whole length, and I was like, wow, I feel like that's really long, but okay.
They walked like 3 months, so each did 2,000 kilometers.
That's two Spains, I think.
It's great that we're measuring by two.
Yes.
By Spain.
Use Spain as your measurement for
So the idea was at the end of this 3 months they would meet in the middle, get married,
or just meet in the middle.
Just meet in the middle and see what happened.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Okay, but then what did happen?
Actually, he wanted to continue walking with her, but she said no, and then she parted ways. So it was her decision to separate at the end. And then they didn't speak with each other for 22 years until MoMA.
And then he sued her.
And then he sued her.
he was there holding her hands, crying. And he was like, I'm going to sue you.
I'm going to sue you, bitch. I think we need to give like somewhat of a background. Because Abramović, she's Serbian.
She's Serbian.
Ulay is from... he was born in Germany, in Solingen.
Okay.
No one knows.
I have no idea what that is, but...
And they're most prominent around the 80s when performance art was...
Yeah, but they started...
a huge thing.
But they started in the 70s.
Yeah.
So, like mid-70s. I think they met in 1975. And they did their first stuff before 1980.
Yeah. And their work is very much about endurance and their relationship, human relationship, essentially, I think.
And the boundaries of human relationships.
Yeah. So, like with what Mara said about two of them naked standing in the doorway, it's one of their pieces where they stood at a really narrow entry point of a gallery where through them, if you walk past them, there's like more work. And they were interested in, as an audience, you would accidentally touch either of them anyway, of their naked bodies, and they were interested in whether people would go through it, walk past them, and also which side they'd face.
Yeah.
From the guy side, or would they face the woman's side? Abramović, she's also famous for rhythm.
Yes, Rhythm 5.
Like a lot of them, the first, I don't know if it's the first one, but that's the one where she sat or stood for 6 hours and had like different stuff on the table, including guns and knives, and she let people do whatever they want to her for 6 hours. So that's one of like the very famous pieces that you might have heard of.
And let me tell you, people are dicks. Like they would burn her with like candles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because she said I could.
Yeah, and I mean, someone like would cut her. She was crying at some point, and then some people put her clothes back on. She was wearing clothes, and someone cut her clothes off. Stuff like that. Yeah.
How do you find these people?
Well,
just like random people. I think it's if you give people the power, how would they abuse it? Just like the Stanford experiment as well. But anyway,
or that Chinese guy who cut himself because people voted.
Oh yeah, that's such a good one. He had like his friends, the Chinese artist, don't remember his name, but then he had his friends voting whether they should cut a 1 meter long incision that is 3 inches deep into his body. His friends actually voted yes. It's kind of about democracy and about voting, and then and he had it cut without any chemicals in his body, so he felt that. And he also had his rib taken out surgically. I think he was under anesthetics, I don't remember. And then he wore it on his neck as like a necklace. Anyway, just wanted to give like a brief idea of what Ulay and Abramović are about. And
they did this one. I think it's called Rest Energy.
Are listening to it.
Yeah, I meant describe it.
Right. So they stood one in front of each other, and they were holding together a bow with an arrow in it. So Ulay was holding the end of the rope, so he would pull back the arrow, and Abramović was holding the bow, so the arrow was facing her, and she was kind of leaning back, and so was he. So the bow was tense. So the idea was that at any point he could let go and shoot her. Abramović called it the most difficult performance she ever did. Yeah,
I
I'm
guess
like,
it's
wow, I
physically really
wonder.
taxing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but she's the one who's like on the if Ulay gets tired, he's like, oh shit, sorry, you know,
Oops.
oops.
But who's
But
that guy who actually had someone shot him? Chris?
no, Chris Burden.
Yeah, Chris.
So
I
yeah,
knew it.
he straight up had a friend of him like shoot him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the arm. But
If
what
it's
do
a
you?
friend, that's quite nice. Because then you have this thing forever.
He
I'd
was
rather
like, yeah.
a friend than a stranger. Because I can trust a friend to shoot me where I said, rather than a stranger.
Yeah, but
I think they thought before where he would shoot him. It wasn't
Yeah.
like
It was like, I'm just going to shoot anyway.
yeah, wherever you feel it, mate.
what happens if your friend miss points?
Yeah.
Which has happened a lot throughout history.
So then I think that would be even worse. You're like, oh my god, I trusted you, and you
Yeah.
How could
Oh.
you?
and then it'd be like, it's because you liked my mum.
I think that in the I think that in the mindset of a performance artist from like 70s, 80s, he would be so happy if he got dead, if he died of that shot. He would be like, now the performance is much better. He would just die peacefully.
When I've listened to her speak or we've learned about it, all of that, I very often feel, especially when she gives interviews, it's very like, please don't come for me. I feel it's surface level, and she's just like sort of speaking in like a very spiritual way, like hear the vibes, like this is how this happens. She's not like, this is the underlying meaning, or this is to represent this. Like she really talks about things like everything's a vibe and everything's,
Right.
to do with nature. And I don't have patience for that. I feel if she gave a very true and deep meaning behind things, and I'm sure that if you write about her artwork, you can give it a deeper meaning, but the way she speaks about her own artwork does not make me feel like I want to know more. That's a personal opinion.
Okay.
Do you think it's because she, like, her works are really romantic in a way? It really relies on people and human and, humanistic natures. And we're kind of talking about the meaning of it, which is a very, like, we want to contextualize things. We want to understand the meaning. We want to, theorize it. But really, for her, it's more about her doing these things, and it's not about our interpretations.
But I just felt like, as I'm listening to her, it feels almost like she likes the shock value, or the fact that it's a bit like, oh, will he, won't he shoot her in the heart with an arrow, rather than, but why did you do that? And I don't know if that may be personal preference. I like it when there's like a why you've done something and what
Right.
it is and what it means.
Right.
I like learning about her work, but I don't like the way she talks about her own work.
If someone asks you, why do you like drawing? You can't really give them an actual, like, purpose, or because it's about me exploring my emotion, but it's more like you'd probably say because I like it, because I enjoy it.
If you're like doing that, the one with the arrow, the one with they're meeting in the middle on the Great Wall of China, you think that because it's something you haven't like heard of before, you haven't seen before, that there must be like a groundbreaking reason why she's decided to make it happen.
Yeah.
But instead, I just feel, especially if you listen to the way she talks about it, it's so just like if you said to me, hey Mara, pretend you did this work, what do you have to say about it? And I'd be like, it's just about the vibes, it's about the nature, it's about the way the wind blows, it's about like, it's the way the crystal spoke to me that day. It's just not very, like, I want to know more, but I can't know more from her the way she speaks about it.
Don't you think that's the effect she wants to have on people? That they're like, please tell me, and she's like,
But then,
I'm sure if you do stuff like this, you do have a deeper meaning why you do it. First of all, I think it's very original, the performance with the bow and arrow. I think it's such a good, both visually and what it, implies and everything. But I kind of like that they don't tell me, oh, it's about this. I like that I have to figure it out,
it's like she never gives more. So then
But
I always think then it doesn't mean anything. You only did it because you know it'd be shocking. And that's a Mark Quinn in my mind. I'm like,
But
you
I
did
think
it to be shocking, not to show me something I didn't know before, hadn't thought of. I don't know. It just, the way she talks about it annoys me. And the way she spoke about the one with the bow and arrow specifically is like, he could have shot the arrow into me at any point. Well, I know that from looking at it, but I want to know, why did you even
Right.
want to do that? It's so significant because you're doing it with someone that you're like in a relationship with.
I think the information is there. You just have to find a way to find that underlying theme through it. I think that most of the performances they do together are about toxicity slash harm people do to each other in relationships. Do you know the performance Breathe In, Breathe Out? They locked mouths and they would breathe into each other until they passed out because they would use all the oxygen. And you're like the fuck, like why are you doing this? Like you just pass out and that's it. But then you can start thinking about, oh well, it could be about how two people like consume each other in a relationship until they are like completely knocked unconscious, figuratively or something. Or the Great Wall of China can be about, you know, how you put yourself through so much suffering only to no avail because you just walk apart at the end. Or the bow and arrow could be about how you put your trust in someone and they could destroy you at any point and you just have to hope they don't do it.
I think a part of it is also, you know, it's open to interpretation. Like I appreciate that she kind of don't tell you what is it about because it's a way to not dictate what people think. And I personally enjoy that, and I think we all enjoy finding our way into interpreting what is presented to us because that is more fun and you would probably discover more if you were just told what to think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think in most works of Abramović and Ulay, it just feels so familiar and close to home. The tension between two people with the bow and arrow. I think you can be might have been in a toxic relationship, or you have a fallout with someone, or even just a struggle within yourself. It's that constant tension that is what is present in their work with the bow and arrow, with the breathe in, breathe out, with the artist is present when they sat, you know, across from each other, completely motionless. I think that's what intrigues me so much about the works. And with Mark Quinn or with Damien Hirst, I mean, yeah, that's sensational to me, but I don't classify Abramović and Ulay as sensational works. I have an emotional connection to it, and I can have my own interpretation of the work because that is influenced by my own, you know, experiences.
And I think a lot of their works, it's about them. It's not about it being an artwork, but it's about their experience, just that their way of exhibiting their emotional connection towards each other is through performance because they are interested in it.
Well, they also did stuff that it's a bit sensationalist, to be fair. They did that thing where they drove a car around the museum and that's it.
What's that called?
They put this like black tar thing that would drip from the car and they were driving around the museum, like inside the museum, I mean. And the idea was that they would like make a sculpture through like that fluid that was falling off the car. Yeah. And they did 365 laps, so it would be like a year. And then they got out, and for some reason they said that meant that we were entering a new millennium. And I was like, wow, in 1977. Oh, it's one of those sculptures where I get what Mara says. It's just, well, fine, you did it. Nice. It's visual. It's shocking, but I don't really see
that. That bothers me. It's also even this last documentary where she's like summing up her life's work and she's showing you examples of different things she did and the things that are significant to her. Other than when she speaks about the artworks, just generally, she doesn't tell you what it is that motivates her, what it is that she really likes. And because of that, the whole time I was like disingenuous, like we're just talking about things you did, but I'm not understanding why you did that. Why would it have been, why it's significant to you? It is different, and it was obviously groundbreaking at the time, but I'm not being given anything else to go by. And I like works where I feel like there is a significance to the artist. If I understand why they did it, I'm like, oh wait, maybe I kind of like it now. With her, I just feel like I'm always like, okay, I'm gonna watch it because it's cool, but then there's nothing after that.
Does she have to give you that information? Well, she doesn't have to share why she did it if she doesn't feel like it's relevant, or if she feel like it's a very personal thing for her. So, but I think it's also interesting to think about the fact that the artist is still in complete control over what she shares about it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also appreciate when they don't tell you everything. It's way more fun. Plus, it allows you to elaborate that, like to develop not only a critical mind and a criterion of what you like and what you not, but also like you kind of find your own stories to look for in the artworks. So, and that's entirely dependent on your experiences, your way of seeing the world, your ideas, whatever. When you look at these kind of artworks and they don't explain you fully what they mean, you can like relate them to, using the clues that they give you, you can relate them to whatever you want. So you can make your own meaning about it. And then you talk with someone else and they're like, it's about this. And you're like, oh, wow, I didn't think about that.
The thing with the car around the museum, like, prove me wrong about thinking it was surface level and it was just you wanting to get a bit more press about it. Like, I want to be proved wrong, but with her, I just feel like I'm always like, that doesn't feel genuine. And that's with other artists as well. If I feel I'm not being given a good reason behind the work, like I don't tend to like it, but that's just like a personal thing. With hers, because it feels like it really should have a meaning behind it, because it's so like powerful. And I agree, like especially when it's with Ulay, you know, it's about their relationship, it's about this, that. The fact that there's nothing after that, I'm like, oh, like that just annoys me.
I understand why it's so beneficial in the art history and so crucial in performance art. I do agree. I also sometimes miss like a little, just something to hold on to. Like, okay, I get that it's about their relationship and about the tension two people can have. Bow and arrow, I don't need to know more. With the car, I do would like to know a little bit more.
Well, yeah.
And can I just say that his actual name is Uwe?
Yeah, he's not Ulay, by the way. That's not his real name. To be fair, his name is Frank. Frank Ulay.
I didn't think he was like Cher. Like, it's not like.
Imagine Frank and Ulay. Frank and Maria.
Frank and Abramović. Yeah.
Frank and Abramović.
Sadly died on the 2nd of March, 2020.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Ulay.
We're about to tear him to shreds, and we're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
I mean,
well, you're a dick. You sued her, but rest in peace. May the Lord guide your soul. Yeah, and a performance with the angels where you like
you tie your hair to someone else for another 16 hours or 16 years.
To Saint Michael.
To some angelical, transcendent being.
But yeah.
Let's talk about the MoMA thing.
The artist is present.
This is an artwork where she sat on a chair, as I said, where she lies about drinking water. She at a table, and on the other side, people who were in the museum were allowed to go and sit in front of her and just stare at her. So she was trying not to react, and she wasn't talking or anything. She was literally just staring. And you could just sit there and do whatever you wanted, probably not touch her, but like, you know, you could strip naked if you really wanted to, I guess. I think you'd be removed, but that was it. At one point, Ulay, whose real name is Frank, decided, you know what? I know she has an exhibition at MoMA, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to go sit in front of her. And Javier, did you say that was like the first time they'd seen each other in like 22 years? Like,
they led us to believe that. Maybe it was all rehearsed or something.
Maybe it was rehearsed, but let's presume it wasn't, because it fits my narrative better. And he just went and sat in front of her, and she cried because she was overcome with emotion. I don't like that because I think it's rude to turn up to the performance of your ex-girlfriend.
But then
you cheated on.
And technically he's a part of it, like he is also a part of the work.
Yeah.
Okay, what's that about?
Like, the performance is copyrighted to both of them. They were the ones who created
who owns it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're one of the creators, you can just reproduce whatever you want.
Do you reckon? Or do you think you need the consent of other people?
Well, I mean, I know that I don't know if this is a good example, but it is a similar situation when some band member splits from the rest of the band and they do their own thing. They are allowed legally to sing the songs they sang with the band if they if they are copyrighted to their name because they were part of it when they happened.
Mm.
So he tagged up the performance, made her cry, and then sued her.
Or 5 years later.
Yeah, I don't know if he was up to much after they split. Was he?
He withdraw from the art world after they split.
Yeah.
He had
He
enough.
just wanted a simple life. Just let him.
He didn't
Well,
want to get famous. Like, he didn't want the fame and
Yeah.
just wanted to make art.
like
Maybe
if
he can like work in a little cafe, be a barista, be a shop assistant.
hand you your drinks naked because of performance.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, creature.
Hi, my name is Frank, and I'll be your waiter today.
Which one was the one where they were supposed to sit across each other for like 7 hours every day, and then I think Ulay gave up halfway, and then she still sat. So it's very much about like persistence and endurance and in a way like relationship and kind of working it out and who gives up and who wants to work it out, kind of. I don't know, but it's very, very personal, which I really like, but performatively personal.
Yeah, kind of replying to what Mara was saying earlier about how they don't give you enough information about what the performances mean.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a better thing, because one of the performances they did give you information about was one in which they, I don't know what it was called. Wait, they basically run into each other like for an hour or
yes.
something. And it's the most funny thing ever to see. They're like, and they would like do it non-stop, like
for an hour, right?
Yeah, for an hour, something like that. And when they were asked what was it about, they said it was about male and female energy colliding. And you know, if you're gonna explain it like that, I'd be like, it's called relation in space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look it up.
So yeah, if you're gonna tell me that you're running into each other for an hour because you're mixing the energy of a male and a female, I'm like, okay, fine, just let me figure it out.
But then it's a smart way of, you know, if you say that you like to mix the two energies of both sexes, a lot of people, their immediate thought in terms of performance art would probably be having sex.
Yeah.
But then they're like, we're gonna run into each other. I think that's so fun. That's so, in a way, like revolutionary.
Like how you're like, they could have had sex, but they would run each other, and that's revolutionary.
Yeah.
They're maybe the most commercially known performance artists. They're the go-to artists when you want to talk about performance art. They're most famous ones, but they're also very fun to, like, when you dig into their production of performances. They did a lot of stuff that's very cool.
I think it's rare to find artists that work as a couple and then like are to an extent like end up being kind of successful. It's not very common because I don't think you always have the same goals in what you want to be doing in your artwork. I mean, you know, finding two performance artists at the time would have been quite difficult, and then, you know, you find each other and you're like, oh, I like this person, I'm going to make art with them. I don't think she would have had the career she's had if it wasn't for him. No. But also, I just don't like his vibe.
Maybe because he's a Gemini or some shit like that.
Oh, please can someone find out his birthday? Wait.
So my boy Frank was born on the 30th of November.
Maybe a Sagittarius. That's fantastic.
Is that bad?
No, I think they're like adventurous. I don't really know.
Oh. Well, yeah, for sure he's adventurous, especially when walking around China.
Yeah, on the wall, you know, cheating with a translator. Pretty adventurous.
I mean, he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah. Well, he's dead anyway now, so.
Yeah. What's he gonna do? Haunt my house?
No.
Please don't.
That would be the ultimate performance. Like, you're a performance artist and you die. You're like, now I can perform haunted houses.
Haunting of Bly Manor.
Frank, if you're hearing us, please, please haunt Finn's house as a last performance. we'll do a Ouija board to contact you one day.
Oh.
One special.
I don't know.
Wake up board. Ouija board? Luigi board? Wiki board?
Luigi board.
Luigi board. Pregananant. Pregante. Okay, I'm gonna stop now.
What is this in reference to?
YouTube. To conclude, check them out. We voiced our opinions.
Let us know what you thought.
Yeah.
Let us know your opinion on the debate on whether they should explain more about their stuff. Well, Abramović now because he's not in the picture anymore.
It's gone.
Or if you enjoy that they don't give you enough information, and you have to figure it out.
And check out Mara's IGTV.
Thank you so much for shouting out my premiere performance. Maybe people haven't asked for more, but I'll keep making them. So
Well,
amazing.
One day they will, skyrocket, and we'll have a huge fight because you become very famous, and we're just.
And then we just want to be Ulay.
I'm gonna be like, I just want to live in a hut in Germany, and they're like, no, I want to be a star.
And then we're like, we want to be Frank.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Well, let me be frank, Mara.
Let me be Frank. Oh, that is such a good pun. Wow.
I know, right? I've been
I
saving it
applaud
the whole episode, thinking about where to put it, but you've given me the perfect chance now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming. Like and subscribe.
Well, see you next week. Again.
This is the longest goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye.
I love you.
Bye. Love you. Hope you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as we enjoyed making it. If you especially loved our episode, we would love it if you gave it a 5-star rating and a review, and even consider taking a screenshot of this episode and posting it on your Instagram stories. That way we know that you loved it and other people can find our podcast as well. If you're not subscribed yet, again, what are you doing? Subscribe and get notified every time we publish a new episode. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Chart Podcast, and if you want to see our faces while we talk, find us on YouTube at Chart Podcast as well. We are Chart, and we'll hope we'll meet you again at some point in the near future. Take care. Chart out.
Love you.
See you.
Love you.
Later.
Bye. Bye.